Watch Me Forever or Watch Me for Never? I don't know. We'll see. Today we're talking about Watch Me Forever, the AI-generated Seinfeld parody Twitch stream. 24 hours a week, 7 days an hour, pure AI-generated content. Now, AI-generated content isn't exactly a new thing, but Watch Me Forever was the one that really just stuck the flagpole on the planet of AI entertainment. It quickly became a really interesting phenomenon. Maybe you peeked in on it, you thought it was just kind of weird, and so you left, but it actually grew a pretty gigantic community who watched it very religiously. And long story short, it's been through some ups, it's been through some downs, but then of course it got banned when Larry went a little rogue with the transphobic jokes. Got himself a 2-week ban for his shenanigans and left a pretty gigantic viewer base to be bummed and upset, but ultimately waiting for Larry and the gang's return. Luckily though, it's been a few days since the stream's return, and there is a lot to say about it. Watch Me Forever had such a meteoric rise, only to return and have it plummet down to just a small fraction of what it used to be. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different and talk about the stream since its return from the ban. So first I wanted to talk about the moments leading up to the drop of the new stream, and then kind of go over the differences, because spoiler alert, there are many. And then kind of talk about how it's changed since the original drop. Now, if you're not even really familiar with the stream, I came in on it literally the day before it was banned, and I watched it for a couple hours, and I found that it was like super mesmerizing. At first glance, it's nothing particularly impressive. It's got some really lo-fi CG characters that just kind of parallel the whole Seinfeld universe. They go over here, they set up some punchlines, they walk over there, they deliver on the punchlines. They're over at Larry's apartment, then they go to the other apartment. Cackler says some BS. There's usually a new restaurant involved. And of course, there's the classic stand-up bits that Larry does in between like transitions. After a couple hours of watching, it really kind of clicked for me how special this was. It exuded an undeniable charm and just how kind of weird and janky it is, but there was such a calming atmosphere to it. It's almost like if you watched Seinfeld for 24 hours straight and then went to sleep, and you got these weird dreams of just incoherent scenes, but delivered in this weird lo-fi CG version. I don't know, maybe you can say it's overhyped, but I think there really was something to this. And not only just the stream itself, but chat was like a huge part of creating the comedy. Every time Yvonne wanted to talk about a new freaking restaurant that opened up on the block, everybody was just spamming the chat, just, guys, new restaurant. There's a freaking new restaurant. Guys, are you hearing this? There's a new restaurant. And so I was all the more bummed when the next day I wanted to make a video about this. I wanted to talk about this, and it turns out it was banned. You know, we all have the moments we look back on and we're not proud of. Larry had his. They got a 2-week ban, and it was devastating for the community, which was at like a viewership average of like 15,000 or something. It was a lot. Around this time, a lot of other AI streams kind of came out of the woodwork to capitalize on Watch Me Forever's absence. And I will talk about some of those in a forthcoming video. But it was just very clear that there was a big Larry-sized gap in my heart and the internet's heart, and something needed to fill it. So we're waiting, 2 weeks is up, and we get a very scant message from the developers that they're gonna wait a little bit longer in order to tweak the stream a little bit, fix it up a little bit more. And what turned out to be a 2-week ban ended up being a 1-month hiatus. And then finally at the 4th week, I feel a buzz on my phone, I pull that little bad boy out, and I see a notification that Watch Me Forever has gone live again. Turns out it wasn't the original stream, but they were actually streaming a drop date for the new and improved stream. And everybody's freaking out. We're gonna be there Wednesday, 5 p.m. PST to see Larry again. I wanted to be there. I was like first in line. I was recording and everything. I just wanted to capture this momentous moment of Larry being released out of Twitch jail to come back and finally do some stand-up for us. So I'm there. So the stream starts up 10 minutes before the drop time. It's a little lobby with the channel guide running. You got some vaporwave music playing in the background. It was pretty sweet. Viewership was just skyrocketing as it got closer and closer to the time. Chat was freaking hyped out of their mind for this drop. It was so exciting. And then boom, it starts. We get a little promo video. So dramatic, the anticipation was at a boiling point. I might have jingled in my pants a little bit. We get a cool little promo video where they give us a clear nod to the whole microwave mascot. What's up, microwave? We love you. We love you so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Kisses. And then we get the drop. And my goodness, did we get a mouthful of different things than we expected at first. We wanted a mouthful of Larry at first, but it wasn't that. We got Leo, this NPC looking weenie. His name is Leo. And he's typing. He's typing on a computer, and he's narrating this sort of like day in the life kind of blog that he's writing. A couple minutes roll by, and then it's pretty clear that they made some serious asset changes. All of the characters are different. They scrapped everything. New apartments, establishing shots. And not only that, but a new format too. In fact, it looks like they did away with the whole Seinfeld parody thing, and people are not about it. I look over at chat. People are freaking the freak out. Everybody's disgusted and horrified by the new assets. Everybody is horrified at what and who Kelly is and represents. And the chat just becomes a like an upward waterfall of bummed out and frustrated comments. People were not vibing with the new changes, and I don't blame them. But I wanted to be careful. I wanted to give it some time. I wanted to be open to it because, of course, there's going to be a lot of the, oh, this new thing is bad. It does not look the same. Therefore, it's bad sort of syndrome, you know? But I wanted to give it a chance. But as the minutes roll by, within an hour, it was shocking to see how many people just absolutely hated the new designs. The jokes and the conversation topics were just terrible. Animation was really awkward and weird. Within like the first 5 minutes, Leo and Kelly are like sitting all over each other like multiple times. Like very frequently, characters are doing weird little like little arm things. Camera angles were nonsensical. And then the microwave. Let's address the microwave in the room, folks. The microwave might be the single most telling thing about what this stream has become. Why is the microwave so special? See, as a fan, you have to recognize that the microwave is the secret fifth character of the show. It's the mascot. It's there for moral support. It's there to just liven up the energy when things get a little quiet. You hear beep, 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 beep. Periodically during a scene, a character would, punch numbers on the microwave and, microwave something. And it was so funny because for some reason, the audio of it was mixed way higher than it should be. So you almost couldn't hear the dialogue of the characters over the hum and the beeping of the microwave. And so it kind of became this fun joke that every time the microwave would start, everybody would spam an M's in the chat. But the thing is, in the news stream, I think it's very clear that the devs are aware of how much the microwave was like a meme. Because my freaking gonads, this microwave does not stop. This microwave is constantly screaming at everybody. Characters will just be in the middle of a conversation and the microwave's all, what are you guys talking about? Beep, 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 beep. Also, during the conversations moments, it was so weirdly clear that they were inserting a lot more 90s references. It was almost odd how much it showed up. And even on top of that, there were even more moments where they stopped to think, I wonder if I'm in a simulation. Maybe I'm just an AI generated blah, 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 blah. And these moments happened so frequently within like an hour. It really started to have me thinking that the devs really wanted to emphasize these moments that we enjoyed so much from the previous season. There were so many more blatantly aware of itself moments. And the blog scenes had so many of these like random lol XD kind of banter. It was a little cringy. But if you start programming that into it, it's becoming a parody of itself at that point. It's not genuine. It's just really forced weirdness. As I continued to watch the stream, it was shocking to see its peak go from around 10,000 to like 4,000 within an hour. And what made it worse of all is the comedy seemed so sanitized. It seemed so just bland and careful and measured. So many people in the chat were spamming Big Bang Theory, and like I probably couldn't disagree with them on that one. And as I kept my eye on chat, I noticed that there was like this announcement bot, and dear God, every time their microwave would go off, it would spam this whole microwave text thing and just be like, guys, check it out, the microwave's going off. You see the microwave doing the thing. It was just so obnoxious and really started to get me to see the kind of bigger problems at play within this stream. When the stream first started, there was really only just the new Leo guy and Kelly, and they were hanging out together. It was just them two, but there were two other characters that were clearly supposed to be there. You can see their names in the title card, and they weren't showing up for some reason. Like they just weren't present. Eventually, a guy named Nick came on the scene, who's just kind of like a tall dude with 5 o'clock shadow. That seems to be his general, or all-encompassing character. And then there's a guy named Manfred Friedman. He showed up once, and then I never saw him again for the rest of the night. But from the one time I did see him, all I could gather is that he was a short dude, and that's about it. He was a short adult man baby child kind of thing, kind of vibe I was getting from him. So then day 2 of the stream rolls around. I was thinking about doing a video talking about the changes already, but then I noticed that there were already some changes being made by the devs. and I can see it in the stream already. One of the first things I noticed is that the microwave was just completely cut out. They weren't even touching the microwave anymore. They just unplugged that guy, pulled him off of the kitchen counter, and I don't know, like stored it in the bathroom or something. And then I also noticed that there was actually a new location. There was actually a new restaurant location. I was literally watching the stream as I was recording the first iteration of this video, and all of a sudden they just show up at a restaurant. They're there. They're there hanging out at a new location. I was like, wow, okay, maybe there were some clear bugs and it wasn't utilizing the restaurant set or something like that. And then I also noticed that the actual content sort of changed. The topics and conversations that they had really kind of took a turn. Really, it was just kind of barrage of them coming together, pulling the oldest jokes out of the book, the most low-hanging fruit jokes, and just sparring, just going at war with each other. Have you heard about this one? Have you heard about the freaking, the guy, what did they call the freaking whatever? Knock knock, who's freaking there? Did you hear about the freaking one, about the freaking guy who did the freaking thing? It was just like, it was like this over and over and over. And then it was really sad to see that day, the viewership dropped to around 2 to 2.5K. Then day 3 rolls around. I peek in on the stream and I noticed that there's even some more changes that happened. For one, the camera angles seemed to be kind of fixed a little bit more. They were a little less awkward than they were before. One of the sets was like suddenly dark now. I'm not really sure if that was some sort of bug or if they're like there during the nighttime now. I'm not really sure. The character movement was still super awkward. There's this weird thing where they keep needing to sit on each other. If somebody's sitting in one seat, every other character is like, yeah, I gotta sit in that one freaking seat. I'm gonna sit on top of you. I'm just gonna phase through you so I can sit in the exact same chair while you're sitting in the exact same chair. And then the topics of conversation seem to shift between, the sort of like weak joke dick measuring contest to like Reddit posts of pet peeves and stuff like that. It was really kind of annoying and it just bounced between those things constantly. And then I noticed at this time the viewership dropped to around 1.4K to 1.6K. And then I come to today, day 4, when I'm filming this. And I was actually really surprised to see that there was a lot of improvements. One of the first things I noticed was that the conversations and topics were a lot more organic and kind of were similar to season 1. The characters would often come up with more interesting conversations starters and have a little less predictable banter. There was this interesting arc in particular where Manfred really wanted to discuss the idea of if humans had tails and the prospect of us maybe having phantom tails, phantom limbs. That yielded some interesting results. And then another thing I noticed is that they added the microwave back in, but it was far more balanced. It would happen every once in a while as opposed to several times per scene. I also noticed that Manfred had a bad case of holding in diarrhea like his life depends on it. The blog segments were a little bit less lull random and often seemed a little bit more natural and thought out, and there were far less of those weak joke boxing matches. So if I'm going to be honest, by day 4, I think it made a pretty decent turn in the right direction. It's still not perfect by any means, and I can tell the devs are still working on it day by day, but it seems to have a lot more of those obnoxious kinks worked out. But then around this day, the viewership was around 1,000 plus or minus. So I mean, the good news is since season 2 dropped, you can already tell that the devs are working hard to kind of push things in a better direction. But even still, the season 2 drop was so rough and has so many gigantic changes that I'm really not sure if things are going to be the same as they were. And so for all of you curious as to what has changed in this stream, I'm going to break down the biggest differences that I see, that I think are just going to be persistent from this day forward. The most obvious one is the character design change. Now, I delved and looked through many comments in the subreddit and seen many opinions. And a lot of people are chalking this up to be like maybe they were hit with a cease and desist from Seinfeld, that they needed to change things to make it a little bit more far away from the IP. Or maybe it's just that they want to kind of do their own thing now. They don't want the stream to be so dependent on it being a Seinfeld parody, but they want it to have its own sort of feel and identity to it. I have no idea which one it is because the devs have commented on nothing about this. More on that later, but either way, the design has been radically changed. And in my opinion, and I also think the majority of the opinion, is that it changed for the worst. The only one really resembling anything from season 1 is Leo, as he is now called. But even then, he doesn't look near as handsome as he did before. Something about his very human and open eyes is a little disturbing. The original designs of the characters were really nice. They were a little cartoony, but still humanoid. You can see the contours on their face. They had very distinct expressions. They were all perfectly cartoony, distinct, and charming. And the character designs of season 2 are not as much. I feel like they went more with the humanoid approach, so they look kind of relatively shaped like humans, except for Kelly, who is an absolute unit for some reason. But they lack a sort of cartoonish charm and whimsy about them that kind of sucks. And if you lined these characters up, I don't know, the look about them doesn't really stand out to me that much. Really, they all have this sort of NPC you kind of want to run over in GTA vibe to them. Kelly, by the way, who everybody dunks on, Kelly's looking pretty wild, man. People are drawing all sorts of comparisons, and they're fairly accurate. Even if you were dead set on changing all the characters, you really should have communicated to us that you were going to, so that we could at least expect that. Give us an image, give us a thumbnail of the new character so we could at least warm up to the idea, instead of just slapping these bland-ass characters on us and expecting us to just go with it. And then, of course, there's the format change. See, in season 1, it had this great flow to it. It would go from scenes where the characters are having conversations, and then you would have Larry doing those little stand-up bits. It was a great way to give different transitions and feel to the flow of the show. And in this one, it has more of like that Sex in the City narrating while the main character's kind of writing a blog or a bit about some wacky thing that happened in the city. Oh my gosh. And I think it was a good idea, but overall it feels a little bit more flat. Leo's just typing away at a computer. A lot of the times you're looking at the computer screen. And I don't know, maybe it's just the nature of like that stand-up feel. There's somebody in front of you trying to tell you a joke, trying to make you laugh. That just feels so much more engaging. Whereas the blog format kind of has this slant into feeling like a guy who's just writing on r/confessions or something like that. But I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm a huge fan of that mic. I got a mic right now. I'm a fan of that face-to-face engagement we got with Larry. Larry, I want to see your beautiful little mwah face. And now the third biggest change for me that, in my opinion, I think is probably the worst one, is the freaking announcement bot. It's got like a counter for this and that, and a counter for how many awkward silences there were in the stream. And not to mention that it constantly spams promotions. I mean, and like, I get it, that's fine. They're just trying to promote the brand. But when the stream has returned this poorly, the constant push notifications just becomes desperate. And not only that, I mean, I think the worst part about it are those little moments when it's counting out the memed moments. And this freaking microwave notification thing, I think, speaks to one of the most gigantic underlying problems with this stream now that it has returned. The freaking announcement bot makes it so clear that the devs are so viciously gung-ho about capitalizing on this moment that they had. And when they enact something like this, it just poisons the community. It feels like mom and dad caught a whiff of that cool new dance craze you guys are doing. Oh, it's that cool dance you guys are doing. How was that called? Orange Just Ass? Hey, come on, kids, check us out. I'm doing that Orange Justice thing. Isn't that neat, guys? Come on, come dance with us. Hey, you want to have a dance party, kids? Come on, let's do that Orange Justice, huh? It feels like I got mommy and daddy in chat now. It feels like my dad created a Twitch account. He found the stream that I was watching and is now spamming things in the chat that I'm supposed to be chatting in. Here's the thing. If your community really, really loves this thing, let's say the microwave, and you want the stream to continue loving it in the way that they did, let them do that. Don't interfere with it. Stop pointing it out. Don't come up with a counter. Let your audience do that. Let your audience be the one that is so invested in this particular joke or this particular meme or situation. Let them take care of it because they love it. When you butt in and have to point it out for us, it doesn't make us like it anymore. Another huge misstep in this rebrand is the absolute and utter lack of communication. During the whole ban and hiatus, the only two things that were said from the devs were, one, that we're not going to come back on the day we were supposed to, and two, this is the date that we're coming back. It seriously blows my mind that they had a community of 15,000 average viewers that loved their product so much, and they didn't even give us a heads up that they were changing everything about it. The very least they could have said to us was, hey guys, we're actually changing up the assets. Hope you are open to new ideas. That alone could have helped so much. And I've been checking the subreddit and I've been checking their new like patch date blog posts. So I go to their Twitter, and in the 4 tumultuous days since they dropped the stream, their first post since the stream drop was, what do you call a fake noodle? Yo, that's a pretty wild tweet to tweet out after all this. So that even just further solidifies me that they're so not focused on engaging with their community or addressing any of their concerns or anything. They just want to blow past everything and try to fix it so they can get running again. which really, really sucks. And all this to say, all this whining and complaining to say, it's a huge bummer because I think they had something really special. And in my opinion, if there really was something they should have added, yeah, I think they should have added a new location, a new restaurant or something that they can be in. And then there was also a comment in the subreddit that I really liked about adding a sort of like Newman character, some sort of nemesis character or antagonist that would only show up sometimes. And when they did, the main characters would have a little, frustrating bit with them. If they added it sparingly, I think it would have been really funny and would have added some nice spice to the flow of the show. And if I'm going to be honest, I really think that's it. They really should have only stuck to that. Even if they make changes to the stream that make it feel like how it once did, it is undeniable that the characters are not the same, and I think they're worse off. The format has changed, and it's a huge bummer. It might have some potential, but I don't know. And then third, they're so painfully aware of everything that we thought was funny to the point where it ruins the experience. To wrap this up, I really don't want this to be a video where I'm just like bashing on all the decisions these devs do. I really do love this cool project they have on their hands. But I think after the 4 days that the stream has returned, it is pretty clear how terribly things were handled and what their priorities were with this return. So I've been recording for a long ass time. Hopefully I boiled this down to a short enough video. I'm gonna continue watching the stream. I am still curious and invested to see how things change. I really don't know if Watch Me Forever is going to be that one AI stream that I go to now, because there are a lot of other streams that are competing for the title. And if there's one that might take the throne, it might be Unlimited Steam. And if you want to hear about that, well, please subscribe.